Hello everyone, this is a video lecture for pre-calculus. We'll be doing section 5.4 today, the unit circle. Now I gotta say before I get started, I'm sorry for the last video being a little bit off, but this time it'll be great. We're gonna have a great time today. So I have a lot of problems that I skipped that were in the very beginning of this homework section, and I'm looking at my notes here that there are a lot of multiple choice questions. I normally don't do multiple choice questions here because what happens is you can just keep clicking it until you get it right, you know. So I'm trying to help you with the ones that are a little bit more difficult. So this I titled it unit circle, but the very first question is not yet unit circle. It will be here in just a few seconds, but we're just going to jump right in and do some of these problems. So I got a point at negative 21 over 29. And then negative 20 over 29. And so this is an x and a y. And they're wanting sine, cosine, tangent, and et cetera, et cetera. Actually, this is unit circle, but it's not the unit circle you're thinking. So, Anyways, so sine, cosine, and tangent. Honestly, this is a super easy problem, but we have to verify something. It looks like this is good, right? Kind of like y over r. X over r, y over r, that kind of thing. But we can't be sure until we actually test and see what the real radius is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually plug in exactly what my x and y are. What they are. That was a joke. So when I do all this, I get a 1. Now here's the thing, pause for a second. If I get a radius of 1, that means I am on the unit circle. Cool. So that it is truly on the unit circle. But do you remember seeing this somewhere on that unit circle page? I mean, you have it printed off and you're looking at it, right? So is that on there somewhere? Do you see this point on there somewhere? No. You see like square root 3 over 2 comma 1/2. You see this kind of stuff. Not that. So what's going on? Well, it's on the unit circle, but it's just not one of those common angles. It's not a 30, 45, or 60. It's something else weird. I don't know what this one is exactly. Let me just make something up. It's 40 degrees. There you go. It's 40 degrees. I don't know. So we'll see. So the point, though, is that whenever I do y over r, I'm doing the negative 20 over 29 divided by 1. Well, I mean, it's just done. You're done. You don't need to do any of that. So cosine then is simply just an x. I mean, you just didn't need the r at all. Simply just the x. And so that's negative 21 over 29. And then, of course, tangent is still y over x. And so I got negative 20 over 29 divided by negative 21 over 29. The 29's cancel, the negatives cancel, 20 over 21, and it is positive. Now, they're going to ask for cosecant, secant, cotangent, all that kind of stuff. Just flip it. I'm not doing that every time. I know you can do that, okay? All right, next question. 5, 4, 9. Now, this is like really unit circle now. So I've got tangent of pi over 3 is equal to what? Okay, so there's a couple ways we can go about doing this, okay? I'm going to say that I have a cool scientific calculator, and so do you, by the way. So if I go, make sure I'm in radian mode. Just give me a second here. I'm going to do this right quick. Tangent of pi over 3. This is like Desmos Scientific and all that stuff. So I'm going to write calculator right here. Calculator. I got 1.732 blah, 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 blah. Let me try to make that just a tiny bit better looking. There you go. And this will keep going forever. If you see this number, it means that it's a square root 3. So here's some other ones. I'm just going to list out a few other common ones that I remember. What if I did a 707.1? That is a square root 2 over 2. What about a 1.414? Just a plain square root 2. What about an 866 is a square root 3 over 2. I'm just trying to think out loud here. What about 0.5? It's a half. So there's all these constants, these decimal constants that you get from a calculator. You could just plug that into the calculator, Desmo Scientific, and you just get the exact answer because you've seen that thing before. I know it doesn't work every single time, but it will work a lot. And so I do recommend it as an alternative to not having a unit circle and you're kind of lost. That's a good way to do it. Now, what I'm going to do is actually use the unit circle. So I'm going to draw out kind of like a protograph of what it looks like, but I'm assuming that you have that with you and that you've been memorizing it, right? So I've got tangent is equal to sine over cosine. And I have a question for you. What angle is pi over 3 like in degree mode? Well, in degrees, it's 60 degrees. And so I'm looking at 60 degrees, and I'm going to look at the point here, because again, sine and cosine is going to be a y over x, tangent y over x. And so at 60 degrees right here, we have a positive 1/2 and a positive square root 3 over 2. And so I'm going to go ahead and put these together. I got the square root 3 over 2, and I got the 1/2. The 2's cancel, and you get the square root 3. Done. So, I mean, we got the same answer. My point is that there's multiple ways to do it. You could do it the by-handed way, the memorizing the table way, calculator methods, all kind of stuff. So, next one is secant of 5 pi over 3. Now, you can't put that into Desmo Scientific. I can't even do it on my cool calculator. So instead, you would say 1 over the cosine of this amount. Now, this is a tiny bit dangerous because you could get like errors, undefined, that kind of thing. But that's okay. That's all part of it. So you could do that, and then you can go and use your calculator. But rather, what I want to do is find out where this is on the unit circle. I'm going to continue going down that path. What is the degree for this guy? 5 pi over 3? It is 300. Very good. So basically, it's way down here at 300. And there's a point associated with it, of course. So I have a positive 1/2 negative square root 3 over 2. And so if I'm looking right here, this is essentially 1 over x. Cosine is x value. There's your x value. 1 over 1/2. It's a positive half. Flip it into the numerator, and you get a 2. So there's your answer. Okay. Next one. 5, 4, 15. I've got sine of 5 pi over 6 is equal to what? All right. So what angle is this associated with on a unit circle? I'll wait. It's 150. Yep, it's 150 degrees. So we're sitting over here somewhere. And the point associated with it is a negative square root 3 over 2, positive 1/2. Now notice that sine is a y value. And we have that. It's right there. Positive 1/2. We're done. Let's do another one. 5, 4, 23. 23. You heard me. So I've got tangent of negative 5 pi over 3. And so what we have is, again, a y over x situation. Negative 5 pi over 3 is a little interesting. What I'm saying is a negative 300 degrees. But if I'm going to go negative, it actually ends up right up here at 60. That's right. It ends up at the 60 degree mark. And so then I have a positive 1/2, a positive square root 3 over 2. So here we go. My y value is the square root 3 over 2. Got 1/2. The 2's cancel. Square root 3. This one definitely could have been avoided a tiny bit because you could have just put this into the calculator and you would have saw your 1.73 that we had seen earlier. So again, there's lots of things to do here. Lots of different ways to get this. I'm just trying to show you my way, I guess. Here's an interesting one. I got 4 tangent of negative t minus tangent of t is equal to what? And they said, and this is a weird problem, it says given that we have tangent of t is equal to c What? Right? Like, what's going on here? Um, so I'm going to do a little bit of crafty work here, and this is a silly problem, but that's why we're doing it, so that I don't want to leave anything out and you're like confused. I don't want you confused. So, tangent with a negative on the inside, you can technically take that negative and pull it out to the front. And so what you have now is 4 tangent t minus tangent t. And you can only do that with tangent and sine. So don't do it with a cosine. Cosine, you just eliminate it entirely. But moving on, I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't do this all the time, but here in this case, this is what you're supposed to do. So I've got a negative 4 times c, because that's a c, and I got minus a c. And so I got negative 4c minus another c makes a negative 5c. That is your answer. That's what you want to type. You'd literally type negative 5c. Enter. Done. It's a weird problem. I know. Not hard, though. And so then the last one's an application one. They're talking about the height of water with the tide and all this kind of stuff. And so I got my height is 27 plus 9 times the sine of pi over 6t. Okay? And that's the height of the dock. And t is hours after 6 p.m. 6 a.m. I'm sorry, 6 a.m. And so part A says, what's the height at 6 a.m.? I'm going to write at 6 a.m. down here. It's kind of like, it just says, what's the height at 6 a.m.? So go ahead and find it. Well, what's happening is that my t is equal to 0. There's been no hours passed or elapsed since the 6 a.m. So t equals 0. You're going to plug in a 0, and you're going to get what you get. Well, the thing is that sine of 0 is 0. And so what you get is the 27 plus 9 times 0. Well, this goes away, and you got 27. That's your answer. You can use a calculator. It's all the same. Part B now says 9 a.m. So what's happening is that it's passed by 3 hours. 3 hours have passed. And then you plug that in. When you plug in a 3 right here, the 3 and the 6 cancel a little bit. And you get pi over 2, actually. Well, sine of pi over 2 is 1. And so, although I have sloppy numbers here, I'm sorry, you get a 1 right there. So 27 plus 9 is a 36, I believe. Yep. And there's your answer. These are like in feet or something. I don't know exactly, but that's what I'm thinking. And there we go. That's actually the end of that section. It's a very short, quick section. And so I'm going to move on now to the next section. So thank you very much and have a great day.